the path to becoming a high-value man. Let's be honest, navigating relationships as a man today can be confusing. Society bombards us with mixed messages. On one hand, we're told to be kind, sensitive, and emotionally available. On the other, we see that men who exude confidence, independence, and a strong sense of self seem to naturally attract respect, admiration, and love. So, which is it? The answer lies in balance, and no philosophy understands balance better than Stoicism. The ancient Stoics, from Marcus Aurelius to Epictetus, taught that true strength comes from within, not from external validation, not from relationships, and certainly not from the approval of women. If you want to be the kind of man who naturally draws people in, who commands respect in all areas of life, and who never feels desperate for anyone's attention, then you must first eliminate self-sabotaging behaviors. This guide breaks down 10 crucial mistakes that many men make with women, and how adopting a Stoic mindset will help you avoid them. If you recognize yourself in any of these points, don't worry. Awareness is the first step to transformation. The key is application, because knowledge without action is useless. Now let's get into it. 1. Never put a woman on a pedestal. Let's begin with one of the most common mistakes men make: putting women on a pedestal. From a Stoic point of view, this is an issue of not properly valuing yourself. When you place a woman above you, you are subtly communicating that she is of higher value than you, and you begin to compromise your own sense of self-worth. Stoics, like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius, emphasized the importance of internal control and self-respect. They taught that we should not allow external things, whether people, events, or opinions, to dictate our internal state. When you elevate a woman in this way, you are essentially handing over your power. Now, that doesn't mean you should stop admiring her, of course. Admiration is different from worship. Admiration is an acknowledgement of her qualities and strengths, but never to the point where you lose sight of your own identity. A high-value man respects himself first and foremost. He knows that his value does not come from the approval or validation of others, especially a woman. Instead of seeking her approval or trying to be what you think she wants, focus on who you are. Understand that the person you should be impressing the most is yourself. Women want to be with men who are secure in themselves, who know their worth, and who treat others with respect. Not because they need validation, but because it's just who they are. So, stop putting her above you. Treat her with respect, yes, but never lose sight of your own value. 2. Don't be too available. You might think that by constantly being available to a woman, you are showing your interest and commitment. But, again, this is where Stoic principles can help. The Stoics taught us that life is about balance, and being too available, whether through endless texting or dropping everything to meet her, can create an imbalance. It shows that your life revolves around her, and that can come off as desperate or clingy. Instead, invest in your own life, your passions, your work. Keep the mystery alive. Just as Marcus Aurelius would remind himself to keep your mind clear, it's important to keep your emotional balance. You are not at her beck and call. Show her that your time is valuable by maintaining a healthy distance. This doesn't mean ignoring her or playing games, but it does mean having boundaries that preserve your own independence and passions. By maintaining your own life outside the relationship, you will naturally become more attractive. Women respect men who have their own purpose, who aren't seeking constant validation from anyone, and who aren't always available at a moment's notice. It's important to have a full life, friends, hobbies, passions, and to continue focusing on those even as you build a connection with someone. A man who has a sense of purpose is incredibly magnetic. 3. Don't fear losing a woman. The fear of losing someone, especially a woman, can make you do irrational things. From a Stoic standpoint, fear is something we can control. Marcus Aurelius often reminded himself that our judgments about situations, not the situations themselves, cause us distress. If you fear losing her, that fear is only coming from your attachment to her, not the reality of the situation. In other words, you're giving up your emotional control. Let's be clear. When you begin to fear losing someone, your behavior changes. You become needy, overly clingy, and you might even try to control her. But women, like everyone else, can sense fear, and they are drawn to strength, calmness, and certainty. If you're constantly worried about her leaving, you'll begin to act in a way that isn't true to yourself, and that's unattractive. Stoicism teaches that true freedom comes when you release attachment to things outside of your control. You can't control whether a woman stays or leaves. What you can control is how you respond. A Stoic man would understand that if she leaves, it's not the end of the world. He has learned to be emotionally resilient and to continue living his life regardless of external events. If she's meant to be a part of it, she will stay. If not, he can continue growing and finding fulfillment in other areas of his life. 4. Don't dump your emotional baggage. Early on, vulnerability is important, but there's a fine line. The Stoics understood the importance of keeping a stable, controlled mind. Too often, men make the mistake of opening up too much, too soon. Early in a relationship, you might find yourself unloading your deepest fears, insecurities, or past emotional scars onto her. It's understandable, but in doing so, you risk overwhelming her. A Stoic doesn't look to others for validation or to process his emotional baggage. Instead, he processes it within himself. Men who can manage their emotions, understand their own vulnerabilities, and deal with their issues independently are far more attractive than those who constantly seek reassurance or emotional support from others. When you share your vulnerabilities with a woman, do so in moderation. Be open and honest, but don't make her your emotional therapist. By managing your own emotional landscape, you show that you are in control and that you don't rely on others to feel whole. 5. Don't tolerate disrespect. This one is crucial. No one should tolerate disrespect, and this includes the way a woman may treat you. It can be easy to overlook small signs of disrespect, such as sarcasm, dismissiveness, or taking you for granted. Stoics believe that you should never compromise your integrity, no matter the situation. Your standards and boundaries are vital for maintaining your self-respect. If a woman disrespects you, whether in small ways or more overtly, it's essential to address it. A Stoic man knows that his dignity is worth defending. He does not tolerate poor treatment because he understands that when you allow someone to treat you poorly, you are teaching them how to treat you. A Stoic doesn't get angry or reactive when someone disrespects them. Instead, they calmly address the behavior, setting boundaries and standing firm in their values. It's not about being confrontational or rude, but rather about respecting yourself enough to ensure others do the same. If she doesn't treat you with the respect you deserve, then it might be time to move on. 6. Don't try to convince her to like you. It might sound obvious, but many men make the mistake of trying to convince a woman to like them. They send endless texts, shower her with gifts, or put on a performance to gain her approval. But here's the thing: attraction isn't logical. It's not something you can win through reasoning or over-efforting. Trying to convince her is a sign of insecurity, and it doesn't convey the message you think it does. Stoicism teaches us to focus on what we can control: our thoughts, our actions, our behavior. and to release the desire to control external outcomes. A man who is confident and secure in himself doesn't need to convince anyone of his worth. His actions speak louder than words. He attracts people, not because he's trying to, but because he lives authentically. When you stop chasing approval, you stop appearing desperate. You begin to attract the right people naturally. If she doesn't feel a natural attraction to you, that's okay. A Stoic doesn't waste time on things that aren't within his control. Instead, he focuses on what he can change himself. 7. Don't compromise your principles to please her. Compromising your principles just to please a woman is a slippery slope. The Stoics taught us that a person should never abandon their values or integrity, no matter the situation. If you compromise who you are, your beliefs, your passions, your values, just to keep someone interested, you lose your authenticity. And women value authenticity above all else. Changing your beliefs or personality traits just to align with what you think she wants is not only disingenuous, but it also sets the foundation for an unhealthy relationship. When you bend your principles to keep a woman, you show her that you are not true to yourself. And ultimately, that's not a foundation for a healthy, lasting relationship. Being adaptable is different from being a chameleon. A Stoic man knows who he is, and while he is open to growth, he will never sacrifice his core beliefs just to please someone else. Respect for yourself is key. 8. Don't be overly emotional and reactive. In a world that often values quick responses and emotional reactions, the Stoics remind us to keep calm and remain collected. Overreacting to every situation, whether it's a delay in her response or an argument, only undermines your emotional stability. Stoicism teaches that we cannot control everything around us, but we can control how we respond. When you let your emotions take over, you show a lack of control, and that's not something women find attractive. Instead of reacting impulsively to a situation, take a deep breath, assess your feelings, and choose a measured response. A man who maintains emotional control demonstrates maturity, strength, and resilience. These are qualities that naturally attract respect. 9. Don't become dependent on a woman for happiness. The key to happiness isn't external, it's internal. Yet so many men make the mistake of looking to a woman to complete them. This is dangerous because it places the entire weight of your happiness on someone else's shoulders. It's unhealthy for both parties. The Stoics believed in living a life of self-sufficiency. Your happiness should never depend on another person. When you put a woman in a position where she is your only source of happiness, you are setting both of you up for failure. Not only will she feel immense pressure, but you also risk losing your identity. A man who is complete on his own doesn't need someone else to validate him. He is fulfilled through his passions, his growth, his goals. A high-value man leads a rich life and welcomes a woman into it, but never as a means of filling a void. 10. Don't believe that you need a woman to be fulfilled. Similar to the point above, this is about detaching your happiness from the idea that a woman is required for fulfillment. Many men feel incomplete when single, as if a woman is a missing piece of their lives. Stoicism teaches that your fulfillment should come from within. You can be happy, fulfilled, and complete on your own. When you stop thinking of relationships as a way to complete yourself, you can enjoy a relationship for what it truly is, a partnership. The Stoics believed that real success and fulfillment come from living according to your values, mastering your emotions, and focusing on personal growth. If you feel incomplete without a woman, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Cultivate happiness on your own, and when the right woman comes along, she will only add to your already fulfilling life. Final thoughts. The choice is yours in the end. The journey of becoming a high-value man isn't about perfection, but about growth. Every small shift in your behavior, every new lesson learned, and every step toward emotional mastery brings you closer to the man you are meant to be. Remember, Stoic wisdom teaches us that it's not the events of our lives that define us, but our response to them. The way you handle challenges, relationships, and your own emotions will set you apart. So, don't be afraid to make mistakes. Embrace them as opportunities to evolve. Be patient with yourself as you grow, and remember, you are the architect of your own future. Stop seeking external validation and start building an internal sense of strength, peace, and confidence. When you do that, everything else will naturally fall into place. Now, it's your turn. Take these principles and start applying them in your life. Look at every situation as a chance to practice Stoic wisdom and rise to the occasion. Are you ready to become the best version of yourself? If you found value in this content, don't stop here. Follow us to continue your journey of self-improvement. Our channel is filled with tips on emotional intelligence, personal growth, stoicism, and the high-value mindset. Together, we will help you evolve into the man you were always meant to be. Subscribe, like, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. The path to greatness starts now, and it starts with you.